Good morning, historians. Welcome to the final week of the semester. This week we are looking at George Marsden in his outrageous idea of Christian scholarship. And in it, he discusses the place of faith and religion, specifically Christianity, in scholarship and within the realm of higher education. Christianity in the modern Western world has been ostracized in all aspects of society. Christianity, the once cornerstone faith of the West, has been supplanted by a secularism that holds its adherents under its sway, such as Christianity once did. In Marsden's first chapter, Why Christian Perspectives Are Not Welcome, he considers the historical argument. In his consideration, he affixes the pivotal point for the devolvement into secularism and away from Christianity as occurring sometime shortly after the Civil War. According to Marsden, during the first half of the 20th century, talk about the Christian character of the academic enterprise diminished as it was increasingly recognized that to identify the project with any one religious tradition would be divisive. So in essence, it has taken less than 200 years for the higher education system to become beholden to the religion of secularism. In Chapter 2, The Arguments for Silence, Marsden looks at the age-old proposition of the secularists where they pit religion against science, that religion and science are somehow antithetical. The argument basically goes that since religion requires faith and science requires evidence and faith can carry with it no evidence, then therefore religion and science cannot coexist in the same philosophical sphere. What the secularists fail to grasp, and rightly so, as they put so much stock in scientific evidence, is that scientific evidence is limited in its reach, whereas faith is not. There are ideals that exist far beyond the scope of that which science can explain. Take God, for instance. His very nature is infinite, while human reason, to include science and its evidence, is finite. How can something finite comprehend that of the infinite? It cannot without consulting faith in the process. You see, secularists erred in defining the relationship between science and religion. It is not an oppositional one, but one of extension. Where science ends, faith begins. In Chapter 3, Marsden looks at the flip side of the coin, where some, evangelicals included, advocate for a disassociation of religious education from secular liberal education. This perspective stems from the belief that any non-religious scholarship might violate one's religious convictions, or one's religious convictions might taint the result of liberal scholarship. This is laughable, of course, as Marsden argues. The approach would be equivalent to Catholic natural law arguments. Secularists themselves would not have to believe in the principle of God-given natural law in order to accept arguments based on widely held beliefs. In chapters 4 through 6, Marsden looks at some of the questions that need to be sifted through if Christian scholarship is to be taken seriously in the academic setting. One of the most important queries to be posed is how relevant is the Bible as an authority in scholarship? And furthermore, if it is not used as authority, then what is the difference between Christian scholarship and secular scholarship? I tend to agree with Marsden's very simple answer. While God and theology should be considered factors in our scholarship, we do not want to reduce our subjects to just their theological dimensions. Basically, history and people are complex, multi-dimensional entities. Limiting our study to such complexities to a minimal number of dimensions undermines our scholarship and forces us out of the conversation altogether. And if we are to have any impact on this world and its inhabitants, we need to be a relevant part of the conversation. Thank you, and Godspeed.